So last class, we have learned about the decorators, @track, and @API, @wire. So we understood when to use track, API, and wire, right? So these concepts we have understood, and inside this, and we also gone through what is the decorator, how to use the decorator, and what is the meaning of decorator we have understood. Inside the wire, we have again two decorators, declarative and programmatically, right? So in LWC, we have seen declarative and programmatically. Sorry. So inside the wire, we have seen the property, and we have also seen the function. So property or a function, we have seen one example with the property, how to declare it. So we have to declare it @wire and then give the method name. So inside this, we have to give the method name. And if we have to pass the any parameters, we can pass the this is method name. And if we have to pass the parameters, we can pass the parameters. And then one variable which we will be declaring it. So for example, contact. When it comes to the function, we'll have the additional steps after the contact, basically the data and error. So first will be error and then data. So we have seen these examples. And at the end of the class, we were discussing about the LWC events. Right, so like Lightning Aura, how we have a component event, application event. In LWC, will not have the component event or application event. In LWC, events are nothing but only DOM events. We have only the DOM events. DOM is nothing but HTML. HTML means basically the system events. We will be using the customizing or taking any help from the system event. We use these custom events. So in LWC event, there are two types of events are there. One is declarative. One is declaratively, and second one is programmatically. One is a declarative and another one is programmatically. So these are the two events which we will be using in the LWC event. And inside this, declaratively, again, we have a different steps. Like if I have to go with the declarative event, then we have to create an event. And then we have to dispatch an event. And we have a propagation. Propagation event. And the last one is listen event. Listening the event. So which is also called as a handle event. Dispatch event is also called as a fire event. Right? In declaratively, we have a 4 different types: create a event, dispatch event. Dispatch event is nothing but a fire event. Propagation event, listen event. Listen event is nothing but handle event. And the same steps will be applied for programmatically also. For programmatically event also, we will go with create a event, dispatch event, but only the change you will see in the propagation event and the listen event. There is a different coding for the programmatical event compared to declarative. But apart from that, create a event, dispatch event will be the same. So today we'll be more concentrating on declaratively how to create an event, like a create an event, dispatch event. Then we will see the listen event. So let's go to the Visual Studio. Right. So let me create a new LWC component with the event declaratively. Control Shift P, LWC, and sorry, I have to create a Lightning Web component, then LWC underscore 2405. And my component, this is for LWC event declaratively. Let me copy this, save it here. Okay, Control Shift P, create a Lightning Web component. This is the name, hit enter. Yes, that is the path. Okay. Now, the scenario will be on VLC player or TV remote, we have a volume button, right? Increase a volume, decrease a volume. So whenever we increase a volume number will be getting increased at least 50 or 10 or whatever it might be. And when we decrease a volume, it will decrease the volume. So we will implement similar kind of a thing. When we click on a button, increase button, the volume number should be increased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 100. If we click on the decrease button, the volume should go down. So it should decrease it to 0. So one level it should decrease. So for that I needed 2 buttons, right? So let me implement Lightning -card. So inside this card, title, let's say this is volume controller. Okay, so inside this I needed 2 buttons, Lightning -button, and my label name for the one button is, let's assume that this is a decrease. Okay, this is the decrease button. Icon name, let me use the icon which shows in the Lightning design system. There might be left and right icon, so I have a down icon here. Let me see, is there a left? That is the arrow left, this left, this left. Yeah, here it is. So I have a left. So let me use that. So this icon is inside the utility. So let me use utility :left, and then on click of this, I wanted to call a function. Let's say decrease handler or handle decrease. Okay. This is one button, and I also need another button for the increase. So label name is increase. I need a increase button, maybe the right one. Right arrow. And then this is a handle increase. Right. So this is my component. I needed two buttons to decrease and increase it. So in JavaScript, what are the things that I need to implement? I need to implement two methods. One is for decrease and one is for increase. This is one method. Inside this, we'll be having the event. And another method is handle increase. Right? Okay. So first, what we will be doing, we are going to use the declarative event. So we have to create an event and then we have to dispatch an event. For creating an event, in standard DOM, we have a method called CustomEvent. CustomEvent. Okay. By using this, we will create an event. For dispatch event, we have a dispatch event same. Using the dispatch event, we will be dispatching the event. Let's see how to use it. So basically two things I needed. One is step one. I need to create an event, right? And the step two, dispatch an event. Whether I click increase or decrease, I need these two. Create an event and dispatch an event. How to create an event? Basically, let's declare a variable const. Let's assume the variable name is, this is decrease, right? So equal to let's assume that I have to use the new custom event. New custom event. And inside this, I have to pass a text. Here it is custom event type equal to string. So I have to pass a string. And if you hover this custom event, okay, it shows here. So basically, whenever I use that method, internally it is going to be the var custom event equal to new, and then I have to pass the type, which is a string which I have to pass, and then we have to pass the any data or anything is there, we can pass it there. So that part we will see it later. For now, we will just pass the data. So this is going to be the decrease. Right, this is going to be the decrease. This is create an event. Now for the dispatch event, directly I can do this dot dispatch event. And then inside this dispatch event, I have to pass it this created. What are the event that created? I have to pass into the dispatch event. Right. So this is the way we create the event and we dispatch the event. Instead of writing in 2 lines, we can also write this into the 1 line. So basically directly I can declare this dot dispatch event. And inside this, what I'll do is new custom event, then I'll pass the string. Right? So in one line also I can do it. Both create and dispatch will happen line by line. So this is how, that's it. For the create event and dispatch event, this one step. Just a one step this is. So far we have done with the create event and then dispatch event. Right? Now next thing we will see listen event. How to handle the event or how to listen the event. Okay, first we'll deploy this before creating the other one. Deploy this source to org. Okay, let's create a new one. Create a Lightning web component. And purpose of this component is 2502 LWC event. This is a listen one, so I'll give it VLC player because we are going to do the VLC player. Right? So hit enter. Yes. Now let's go to the HTML. The first thing is that the plan is to implement the listen event. Okay. In order to listen this event, I have to call the component. The first step is I have to call the component. So I have a component which we have created right now. We'll use that. C-24 05. Why it is not coming? Okay, LWC _ 24. Okay, that should be fine. Let me rename, copy. Let's go here. Okay, let me first add the template. Lightning card. Let me add the lightning card here. Okay, and the title of this is VLC player. Okay, so inside this, let's assume that I have a C hyphen the component name. Okay, and here two things. So from this component, what are the things that I'm getting is increase and decrease. These two I'm going to get it. So in order to use this, so on is the keyword. Whenever we call the any component in the parent component, we have to always use on keyword. On is a key. So on increase. On increase of that, I wanted to call a method, let's say handle one increase. Okay, and the next one we have a event that is for decrease, on decrease. And then I wanted to call a function handle volume decrease. Handle volume decrease. Handle volume decrease. Okay. So we are calling the another component here, whatever the events are firing here, right? Using the dispatch event, we are firing the event. The name of the string name is decrease and increase. So if I wanted to use those, we have to use exactly same string here with the key of on. So on the event name, whatever the action we wanted to do. Okay. And inside this, let's suppose I wanted to display some data. Like I wanted to give volume equal to, let's display the numbers here. When I click on the button, I want the numbers to be increased. Right. This is fine. And now let's go to the JavaScript. Now inside the JavaScript, what are the things that I have? We have a wall. So starting of the volume, let's say that it is a 0. Then I have a two functions. Let's declare the function. And I have another function for decrease. Right. So what is the logic that we need when the user clicks on an increase button? I wanted to increase the volume. And whenever user clicks on the decrease, I wanted to decrease the volume. So basically, this volume is the one which is going to increase and decrease. This dot wall equal to this dot wall, this dot wall plus 1. Increase the 1 always. And here what we want, this dot wall equal to this dot wall minus 1. Decrease the 1. But till when we wanted to do this, if this dot wall less than 100, then only increase. If it is a less than 100, then only increase it. And here when to decrease it? If my volume is greater than 0, then only I wanted to decrease it. Fine. So this is my parent component and this is my child component. In child, I am doing the create a event, dispatch event. Basically, I am dispatching the event here, firing the event. And who is listening the event? The parent component. Whenever on increase, we have written on decrease. So whenever I click on the increase or decrease, this is the handle which will have, this is the logic which will executed and it displays the volume here, right? Let me deploy this as well. Okay, rename, Control-C. This is another component which we have created for the listen event. Okay, now we'll go to the developer console. C colon, the component name. Let's save this. Okay, preview. So, okay, so I have a VLC player here and volume is showing, and this is a volume controller. So if I click on a increase, so it's keep on increasing, right? As soon as I click on this, it increases up to 100. So after 100, if I click increase also, nothing will happen. Right, so it reached 100 and clicking on the increase button, it doesn't do anything. So no logic has applied. So if I decrease a volume, the count is getting decreased. Basically, the volume number is decreasing, right? And in case if I wanted to add an icon here, VLC player icon, I can add anything. Let's assume that, let me put some icon. Let's put the desktop. And we do not have here lightning card. Okay, in the lightning card icon name equal to utility column the desktop. Let's save it. Control Shift P. Deploy the source to org. Okay, let's refresh. See, so same thing. If I click on a volume, it will increase the volume. Now we are passing the static data, right? Now whenever I'm firing the event, I'm passing the static or the string I'm passing it. I'm not passing the data. Whenever we are firing an event, I'm only passing the string, type equal to string. This type is string. Now, in case if I have a data, then how can we pass the data? How can I pass the data during the create event? And when I'm dispatching the event, I wanted to dispatch the event with the data. So how to do that? Let's see one example. So for the data, first of all, we have to build the JSON structure. Inside the JSON structure, details. So detail, right. So in detail, we have to pass again. Like for example, here I'm passing the data as, let's assume that volume. This is decreasing, right? So let's say that volume decreasing. So, right. So here I'm saying that I'm passing the data along with the string. And inside here also while increasing it, let's pass the data. So in this case, volume increase. So right now I'm passing the string along with some static data I'm passing. Now while firing the event, I'm passing the string and data. Now the question is how to retrieve the data in another component. Okay, so we have to go to the JS. In order to retrieve the data, what we can do is let's declare a variable here to store that particular information. Now this dot con. In order to here, I just need to write the event dot detail. That's it. In order to hear or handle the data or listening the data from the child component, I have to use event dot detail. This is while increasing it and while decreasing also, same thing. So let's declare some text here. Let's say, please click on button to activate, right? So here, when I'm firing the event, I'm passing the string and along with the details, I'm passing it. And here I'm listening it. So now let's deploy this source to all. It gets deployed. Same this component also. Okay, here one change. I'm setting what are the details or event data that I'm getting it. I'm storing into the con. So let me display that con here instead of volume. Okay. Now let's deploy this to source org. Okay, refresh. Okay, so initially it shows as a please click on button to activate and the default value is 0. As soon as I click on the increase, what will happen as soon as I click on the increase? I'm passing the increase and then the first thing it will increase the number and then I have a details that I'm getting it volume increase and that data will be stored into the this.con and the con I'm displaying here. So that means initially it is a please click on a button to activate. If I click on the increase, it will show as volume increase. Or if I click on a decrease, it says that volume decreasing. So basically my data is changing based on the button that I'm clicking on it, right? Clear how to fire the event, how to the event?
Yeah, very clear.
Let me create one more example for this, for the firing the event and handling it with passing the data. So let's say that employee information I wanted to pass. So in one component, I wanted to fire the event of the employee details. And in another component, I wanted to handle those events. Whatever the data is entered in another component, I wanted to display here in the parent component. So let's assume that, let me create a new component, LWC underscore 2405, LWC, let's say event, employee event. Right? Employee event 1, because we'll be creating another component also. Hit enter, let's create it. Okay. In HTML, let's create the lightning card. Lightning -card. And the title equal to create employee details. Create employee details. Now inside this card, let me put the input data, Lightning input, where user has to enter the employee name, phone, city. So for that, in order to use the input, I have to use the Lightning hyphen input and then label equal to, let's give the label name as employee name. Right, label is employee name. On change, whenever user is entering the data, I wanted to capture the information. So let's assume that this is a EMP name. Let's close. So like this, I need two buttons. Two Lightning in another two Lightning inputs. One is employee phone. So let's say that this is the EMP phone. And then another one, let's say employee city. And this is EMP city. Okay. So these are the details will be entered by user. As soon as the user enter the information, and will show one button, because that button is going to fire the event. As soon as user clicks on a submit button, will fire an event, which is a create a event and dispatch event. So Lightning button label equal to submit. And on clicking of this submit button, I wanted to call a function. Let's say that EMP event, right? And also will display the button in color. So that should be variant equal to, let's say this is a success color. Okay, now that's all. So my HTML is done. In HTML, what I'm doing it, I'm displaying the three fields to user to enter the details, and I'm showing the button, submit button. Now let's go to the JavaScript. First of all, what are the things that I have? In order to capture this information, I need a variable in JavaScript, name, phone, city. The three variables I need it. And then we have a three methods here. So let's first build the skeleton structure of this. Employee name. And next I have a employee phone. Event. Employee phone. And then I have a employee city. And the last one, which is for button. So whenever user clicks on a button, we wanted to call this function. Right. So these are the structures. Now, what is the logic that we have to return in each method? So first three are to capture the information that is entered by the user, employee name, employee phone, and employee city. In order to capture, and let's place it in the this dot name equal to, in order to capture the data, event dot target dot value, right? Same for employee phone, but the change is I have to use the different variable. Right, same for employee city. And the change is I have to store the employee city details in city. Right. This part is done, and I have captured all the information from the user. Now the place is which we have to dispatch the event. right? In order to dispatch the event, I'll use it in everything in one line. This dot dispatch event equal to open braces new custom event. Inside the custom event, I need to pass the string. Let's say that this is employee details. Employee details, or let's say EMP details, right? And then I have to pass detail because I have a data here which I wanted to pass it to the whoever is handling this component. They have to get these details. So inside this detail, the first thing I wanted to pass the name. So let's say that ENN equal to this dot name, right? Comma. Let's say EPH colon this dot phone, and then we have a city. Let's say ECIT equal to this dot city. Okay. Now my event is done. Dispatch event is done. So I'm firing the dispatch event. So this component is done. Let's deploy this component. Okay, now create a event, dispatch a event is done. Now the next thing is that I have to implement a component, new component for the listening, for the handle event. So let's say that LWC, let me copy the existing one and we'll say 2. Control Shift P, create a Lightning Web component, LWC 2405 employee event 2. Okay, so this is the second component, parent component. So basically, let me go to the HTML. Let's use that component here. Right, so this is the component, child component. Inside the child component, when I am firing the event, this is the string that is passed. So what I have to do here, on is the key, that is a keyword, on employee details equal to, let's call the function which is a handle event. Let's say handle event. Now I'm getting the details from, assume that I'm getting the details from the child component. And let's display those information, employee name entered. So let's say that, let's give the one name here, EMP name. Okay, in order to break it, I'm using the paragraph here. Employee phone entered. Let's say that EMP phone. In order to break it, I am using the paragraph. And then employee city entered by the user. Let's keep the variable name as EMP city. That's it. Right, now let's go to the JavaScript. In JavaScript, what is the logic that I need to write? One, I have the function. So let's declare the function. Right? So I have a function here. Then also I have the details which I need to declare the variables. AMP name and EMP phone. And then I have EMP city. Right? So this is the declaration part is done. Now, whenever user clicks on a submit button, right? So in parent, what is the logic that I have to write here in the handle event? I wanted to get all the information that user has entered. Basically, I wanted to load those information into the employee name and employee phone. How do I get the employee name from the child component? We have a enum, right? So while passing it, I'm giving the key and value. Key is the enum and value is this dot name. So how to get that information? Event dot detail dot enum. Here phone, I can get it from event dot detail dot. How I'm passing the phone? Phone is EPH equal to event dot detail. How I'm passing the city? City key is ECID. Clear? Now let's go ahead and deploy this source to org. Okay, it's deployed, successfully deployed. Let's copy this component. Let me go to the developer console. Let's use C column. Right, let's update the Aura app. Basically, my parent component name is 2. Inside the 2, I'm calling the 1. So see here. So employee name, employee phone number, employee city, submit. This is in the first component. Employee name entered, employee phone entered, employee city entered is from the another component. So this is the parent component. So let's assume that I'm entering the details in the child component. Let's say employee name is John and the phone number is some 999. City is Hyderabad. Let's click on submit. As soon as I click on submit, the parent component is listening to the event. The data is entered in the child, but in child, as soon as I click on submit, it's firing an event, creating an event, dispatch an event. As soon as it dispatches the event, my parent component is listening the event, right? As soon as it listens the event, it is trying to capture, get the information, whatever the user has entered in the each input field. So that's what we are displaying here. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Let me stop recording.